Hello and welcome to Beyond Belief. I'm your host, Tyler Redmond, and I am so glad you're here on this Friday. Y'all, I hope you have been having a fantastic week. I know for me, we've had ups and downs already. I'm recording this here on a Wednesday. It's hump day. Let's go. Woo! But you're celebrating Friday, and there's nothing better than a Friday. I mean, it is time for the weekend, and what an amazing weekend for it to be falling upon. As I told you last episode, we are going to touch almost entirely politics today. And today's question that I'm focusing on is brought to you from one of the pastors from my church, Pastor Jason. We had a conversation at lunch the other day about this specific topic, and I knew I wanted to dive deeper. So, let me just tell you what's going to happen today, guys. I'm going to get canceled. There is like 100% chance I get canceled today after this show. We are talking about the only thing that can cancel you, regardless of what side of the opinion you're on. We're talking about Donald Trump and can he run for a third term? We are. And so I have to say, it's been a fun run. I'm going to keep filming episodes. If people watch them or not after this, who knows? Because again, I'm going to get canceled. But let's talk about first, why is there a precedent for a president only having 2 terms? We can go all the way back to the very first president we had, George Washington. If you don't know the guy, Google. It's at your fingertips. Use it. But George Washington only served 2 terms as president and set a precedent. He could have ran for a third. In fact, he was even asked to run for president again, not only before he said, hey, I'm out after 2, but at a later date, he was asked to run for re-election, and he still said no. Because what George Washington recognized is that if he continued and continued and continued to run for that presidency, what we would be shaping ourselves into is the exact same thing that we just fought a war to be relieved from. Because if you continue to have the same individual in power, you're literally pulling all the power of the government, all of the power of that executive branch together, and it's continuing to become more under one individual and less of the people. And our Constitution doesn't say, under our king, under our president, we the people. It says, we the people. And that's the first thing I think we have to think about. There was a precedent. Now, the only time this precedent was broken was by FDR. Franklin Delano Roosevelt is the only president to be elected 4 times. And shortly after his 4th election is when we got the 22nd Amendment. And you're like, oh, well, after 4 elections, of course, we needed to do something to prevent him from being reelected more and more and more. Because exactly like I was stating before, that the condensing of the power, there's no balance. But did you know that by the time the 80th Congress convened in January 1947, there had already been 200 presidential term limit amendments that had been proposed by either the House or the Senate? See, from the very beginning of our country, really, as soon as Congress was in session, we began having congressmen in either the House or senators begin proposing legislation on some form of term limits to the president. And this is because that single position holds so much power and controls the whole executive branch. And you have to think, Why would you want a president to continue to fulfill that? Even a good president needs to know when it's time to go. And I don't care about your opinion of Donald Trump. I don't care if you think he's a phenomenal president or if he's the worst president we've ever had. I don't care about your opinion at all. I'll be honest. Because at the end of the day, everything has to change. We already failed George Washington. He warned us as he was exiting the presidency against political parties and how we need to make sure that we don't fall into two categories because we'll just continue to follow back and forth as these parties divide us. Does that sound familiar? Because it happened almost immediately after Washington. And if you look at the news anywhere today, it's very clear there is a huge separation, especially by party in this country. So we already failed our founding fathers. But also, at what point do we stop being a republic? At what point do we start losing democracy by re-electing the same individual over and over? There is something that is unique when it comes to the United States and who we are and what we represent to the rest of the world. In many ways, if we go through and there's no precedent really for Donald Trump to have a third term. Let's get that out of the way now. There's no precedent, no easy way for him to achieve this. If we look into the 22nd Amendment, let's just read Section 1, shall we? No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice, and no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be elected to the office of president more than once. But this article shall not apply to any person holding the office of president when this article was proposed by Congress, and shall not prevent any person who may be holding the office of president or acting president during the term within which the article becomes operative from holding the office of president or acting as president during the remainder of such term. Essentially, if you really just break this down, you get 2 terms. Each term is 4 years. The exception is if you're vice president and you step into the presidency, as long as you're serving for less than 2 years, you would be eligible for 2 full terms. So a maximum of 2 terms and 10 years. Again, Donald Trump does not qualify. There's no specification of it must be concurrent terms. It is just no more than 2. So that right there already kind of cuts it completely in half. But what you're gonna see if there was ever any progress, any real push towards this, what they're going after, and there's even been quotes on it from the president that he would go at it because it doesn't mention concurrent terms or consecutive. But again, if we're going to continue to play these political games like this, what is separating us from the likes of Russia? Because if you look at Vladimir Putin, he's been in control of Russia since the 90s, since the fall of the Soviet Union, and he's done this in a couple of different ways. A lot of it is the constitution of Russia continues to change based on wherever he was held. So when he was president, the power fell within the president. At one point, he was prime minister, and suddenly those powers switched. So the prime minister had the power. And now that he's president again, the Constitution was changed so that he held the power. Do you see how this can almost be reflected to what's attempting to be happen or attempted to be done now? I think we have to really think before we act with some of these things. And I know we have a president right now who he says a lot of things, and you can't take him at face value for what he says. And that's what causes so much attention to all these crazy things that he says, is because you don't know what he says and what's going to be followed up. And liberal media completely collapses because, one, they don't know what to do with high ratings because that's not normal for them anymore, and two, they're just foaming at the mouth. And then you look at conservative media, and I mean, mainstream wise, it's fine. I mean, it's definitely nothing great. It's better than MSNBC, but if your only competition is saying I'm better than Rachel Maddow, are you really succeeding in life? I don't think so. I think I'm better than Rachel Maddow, and this is only episode 3 of my podcast. It's not that shouldn't be your baseline. And so, what are we trying to accomplish by a third term of Trump? And here's the thing. No matter what would be accomplished under that, it would not be worth the security we would be losing by circumnavigating the Second Amendment and creating new law to prevent something that was already prevented. If you look back at FDR and the Green New Deal and what good came of it and what good didn't come of it, there's a lot less good. We got Social Security from it, and Social Security is great. I know we all can think of someone who is benefiting from Social Security. Some of us are even hopeful that we'll be able to use Social Security eventually in life. Others, like those around my age, are at the point where we're like, what, will we get Social Security? I don't know. Because here's the thing. The way it was promised is it was a retirement set aside. I've heard some political pundits, and obviously this is opinion, say it was done because in reality, FDR didn't think the average American was capable of saving for the future. But regardless of your opinion there, it was not to be touched by the government. And the same party that voted it in also voted to go ahead and open up the money. Because what does our government continue to do? The bigger they are, the more they spend. The more they spend, the bigger they grow. It continues to evolve. And yes, there's things being done under the Trump presidency, but again, 3 terms is too much to lose. And it's far too great a loss. It's far too great a loss. I think one exercise we could implement on how you should decide if you think he, and by he, I mean Donald Trump, should have a third term, think of him as your least favorite president. If he is your least favorite president, it's easy, right? It's easy to say absolutely. Under no circumstances should he be able to have a third term. But if he's not, think of whoever your least favorite president is and ask yourself, would the country be better with a third term? And then I want you to go ahead and think about your favorite president and think, would the country be better if they had a third term? And then think about the cost of that. Because as soon as we open the loophole to a third term, then it'll be a fourth. And once you get the fourth, you get a fifth. And once you get a fifth, you get a sixth. And before long, we've somehow gotten back to a broken monarchy or some form of a dictatorship, or not who we are. Not who we are at all. And that's not a country I want to live in. It's simply not. And I don't agree with every president we've ever had. And I certainly don't agree with people who want to be president. But I do agree with the Constitution. And I do find I agree with the founding fathers and the principles and ideas that they set before us. And I think we owe it to ourselves to not give away our freedoms and our liberties, because we've already done that enough. We've already done it enough. So why will we continue to do it? And with that, guys, I know this is kind of shaping up to be a shorter episode. That's just a little bit of my take on if Donald Trump should or is even able to run for a third term. I want to hear your opinions. Give me your thoughts. If you're more educated than me, prove it. I don't think I'm super educated, but go ahead and put your educated guesses in the comments. Give me your opinions. If you have questions, please put those there as well. I would love to have more of a conversation with you all, guys. In fact, I would love to spend 10 minutes a podcast just answering questions and thoughts you have on anything. Is it something in the Bible you read? I might not be able to immediately answer it, but I have some phenomenal people in my life that I can always pull from. If it's politically related, put it down there. If it's a live question, put it down there. I want to hear from you. What do you have going on? What do you have questions on? And I also want to go ahead and take a moment just to encourage you all. This upcoming Sunday is Easter Sunday, and it's probably the most important holiday we celebrate as Christians. And obviously there's a lot of commercialism with Christmas, and Christmas is huge and important too, but Easter is what makes it's what gives us it all. That's the real gift. Christmas was the start of a gift, but Easter was the fulfillment of it. And so I just encourage you, if you don't or if you didn't have plans, find a church near you this Easter Sunday and just take some time. I know there's a lot of simple churches out there. 40 minutes out of your day. I'm sure they'll have great activities for your children if you have kids, and just take a moment to learn about Jesus and the price he paid for you. And I just want to leave you all with one scripture from Luke 24:6 today. It's real simple, guys. He is not here. He has risen. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and share. Have a good one.